Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I am Crystal, and I will let the team introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brandy. Nice to see you guys today.
Hey everybody, it's Hannah. Welcome.
Hey everybody, I'm Andy. Happy to be here again.
Yes, we appreciate you joining us today, Andy. So, for those of you that are new to Open Office Hours, welcome. We're super happy to have you. This is our way of doing a live Q&A for the Syncro community. All questions are acceptable. We use the Q&A. So the chat's a little hard for us to follow, but we do use the Q&A. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you're just joining Syncro, have never even looked at it, have really quick questions, or you've been using Syncro for a while, you have workflow questions or something more in depth, we're happy to answer those. And I think what we're going to do to just kick off for the first just couple minutes, I'm going to pass it over to Andy. We're going to kind of address something that, has been noticed throughout the community. So we're going to address that here real quick, and then we're going to move on to our regular Q&A.
Well, hey everybody. So we had a unfortunate deployment issue last night that caused some existing instances of Splashtop to uninstall. So there's no dancing around it. This was a screw up on our part, no doubt. I want to take a minute and just explain what happened, answer a few questions about it if you guys have any, and then we'll get back to the normal business of open office hours. So first off, we were not deploying Splashtop, so this had nothing to do with like the opt-out setting or the feature of Splashtop at all. We were actually doing a basic agent update, which was prepping the future agent for the eventual Splashtop update, which is still like a week away. Partway into the deploy, we detected a problem and we halted it. Um, the way our agent is intended to work is that once we do roll out Splashtop, we'd handle uninstallation cleanups only when we were the ones that deployed it. So this is similar to how like Bitdefender works, for example. If you turn Bitdefender on in a policy and then you move it to a policy that no longer has Bitdefender, we will go in and that will trigger a cleanup of Bitdefender. In this instance, when the agent updated, it began treating existing Splashtop installs incorrectly, and it actually started removing them. So if you had Splashtop already integrated with Syncro, meaning that you were using the bring your own variant, like that integration was enabled, those assets should have simply reinstalled themselves with the next big sync. So they should be back to normal. There shouldn't be anything additional you'll have to do in that instance. If you did not have Splashtop integrated with us, we added a script to the community library for deploying Splashtop. It takes your deployment code as a variable and it should configure itself back to how you had it set prior. The only caveat there is that if you guys weren't using groups in Splashtop and you were assigning user rights to assets on an individual basis for your end users, you will have to reconfigure those user rights. And I do know how badly that sucks. And we, excuse me, we apologize for that. So that's what happened. That's where we're at. Ian posted a statement on social media last night. We will also be posting a retro once our internal investigation on that has completed. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'll go ahead and answer them for the next few minutes, and then we'll get back to normal open office hour stuff. So I see a question from Steve and from Jonathan, basically asking the same thing. How are we going to prevent this from ever happening in the future? That's what the retro and investigation is going to be for. We first need to see exactly how it happened, how it got through QA, things like that. And that will determine how we avoid ever having that happen again. This is obviously not a common occurrence, but it's a very, very serious occurrence, and we're taking it very seriously. Let's see. Jonathan's asking if we'll provide a post-mortem. Yet, like I said, we will do a retro and we'll post that publicly. And Dave is basically saying the same thing. He hopes we'll post a post-mortem, and we will definitely do that. That's all the questions I see. Does anybody else have anything else about that? If not, then we'll move on to the normal OOH stuff. Okay, so if nobody's got anything else, then onward.
Yeah. I was going to grab this one from Johnny. Needing to change due dates on tickets for different categories. The default only allows me to set one due date period for all tickets. I can do different due date periods for different type, or can I do? So I know you can change the due date manually on a ticket. Um, but the other thing, let's just I never mind just doing this on the fly here. Let me get rid of this really quick. Because what I was just going to show is that if you hop over, oh, I got tickets over here. If you hop over to tickets and you just edit one, you can update the due date. The other thing I wanted to look into, and this was something I was just going to do on the fly. So let me just show this real quick. When you're in a ticket and you edit the ticket, you can update the due date. So you can do this here and you can change the due date manually on the ticket itself. The one thing I was going to just look at, because I don't know if it addresses due dates, but I was just going to hop over to contracts and SLAs because I didn't know if SLAs handles due dates specifically. Let me just go over here and see the settings because these can be set, on a per customer basis, and then you can have a couple different things happen based upon like the ticket type. But I guess, most of it is more like time to response or resolution, not necessarily due dates. But you could leverage service level agreements and you can have pause countdowns based upon the different statuses that you have. I don't think that you can granularly change the due date though on tickets. All right. Who is up next?
I can go ahead and grab this one from Amy. I'm new this week to using Syncro. Welcome, Amy. When I choose to add a client and start a new ticket, how does the tech I assign the ticket to get notified that he has a new ticket? Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So once you've added in all your text contact details, what you'll want to do is go into the admin section and then under the notification center, customize the notifications for your security group. So here under the notification center, you'll see your groups here, and then being able to jump in here and be able to decide whether they'd like an email, SMS, text message. In-app notifications are going to be little pop-ups in these guys here. Mobile push will be to the mobile app, and then we have an integration with Slack and Microsoft Teams. So you want to go through here and customize how you'd like them to be notified, and there's tons of ones for tickets.
I haven't run through this one yet, but I'll read it out loud. Patrick's asking, I have 2 SLAs in Syncro, emergency and non-emergency, which is the default. How can I automatically change the SLA on a ticket for emergency alerts, such as server offline? I don't see a way in automations. Am I approaching this wrong? So honestly, what I would recommend doing, and if you guys have a better way, you can let me know. But when you have your different alerts in here, so I could say, okay, this is agent offline, and this is going to be, I could have it for servers, right? I could have it be like when you're creating your tickets for this, you can have a specific subject if you want to in here, and then you can use automated remediations alongside of ticket automations. So let me open up my ticket automations now. I could say, let's just have a condition here. You can use your different subject lines in here. So if it was, server offline, then in here, I can come in and I can change. Oh, I might have lied. I thought, okay, I could be wrong. This is going to change the priority, not the SLA. Okay. Okay, maybe that's not possible. I thought it was, but I'm thinking of SLAs being directly as one of the conditions here. Let me think on that unless someone else has a better idea. Otherwise, that would be a feature request, but I'll think about that one for a minute.
Cool. I'm going to grab this one from Robert. I have been looking, but for the web interface for Syncro, I do not see any way to change the overall layout of tickets as they are being worked on. For worksheets, even a way to make a given worksheet full screen or in its own window would help. Cool. You've got our senior product manager right here on the call. So he's hearing that feature request. That is a feature request at this point. The other one I was just going to grab is, can you remove due dates? We use tickets and time buckets for ongoing support or project work. So what I was just going to share here is, let me share and then go to, I'm in the admin section, and then ticket preferences. You can actually disable due dates if you don't want to use them, and then you could primarily use like service level agreements and that kind of thing. So you can choose to disable those. I think that's it for me right now.
Okay, I'll take a few. Jeff is asking, when does Splash Top go live? We haven't announced an official date. It's looking like, I don't know, I'm leery to say a date. Let's say in like a week-ish. It's right around the corner. Jeff is asking if we can have a public bug database. He's having some issues with slow support times. We don't have any intention today of doing a public bug database. I will say, though, that we are making some additional investments in support that should help tickets go quite a bit faster. So we're all kind of looking forward to that. Derek is saying that he's looking for a way to show what clients have a certain product on Syncro generated invoice. In other words, how can I answer the question, who is buying X from us, in the case I need to validate something from a vendor? So there's a report. Let me look really quick. I think it's called the product sales. Yeah, the product sales report. And you can go in and you can like search for things by customer, by all customers, by product category, and that'll tell you exactly how often and who's buying what. Jeff is asking when the nested policies are going live, coming from Ninja. I'm dying over here. Yeah, so that's probably like a month away if I had to guess. It's very far through the development process, but it does change a lot of things inherently. So there's a lot of QA involved in that. But I've been waiting for that forever too, so I understand your excitement. Kevin's asking if we have a roadmap for future features available. We don't, and I don't think that's something that we intend to do. I can give a little bit of an insight into that. There's really two things. One, Syncro is growing extremely fast, which makes us a little bit of a target, particularly because of our unique price point that kind of just trounces most everybody else in terms of price. Like you can literally save thousands of dollars on this. So we're watched very carefully by competitors, and we don't really like revealing what we're doing ahead of time. That said, if you look at the features that we did recently pre-announce, the 4 big ones like Splash Shop, Internal Report Builder, Policy Inheritance, and our new Mac agent, that was like the 4 most requested things for the past year. So we're definitely listening when you folks ask and submit feature requests, so we know what y'all are after, and we're building it. We just don't want to make that overly apparent. Jonathan says +1 for nested policies. Yes, I'd say plus 1,000. I really want that one super bad. I think that's it for me.
Awesome. I'll grab this one from Rob. I actually don't know the answer, so I was going to just show where you can set this setting, and then if someone here knows the answer, the question is, when invoices are past the due date and the overdue fee gets added, does the invoice get automatically emailed out with the overdue charges, or do we have to email out the invoice manually? So I was just going to let me share my screen just so that everybody knows that this has come up actually often in just the last couple of days. If you go to invoice settings in your admin section, you can go to terms, invoice terms, and you can set if you want to charge if they're late and that sort of thing. And you have some advanced configuration also. But does anyone know if this automatically goes out? I think that it does, but I have never tested this on my end. Does anyone know if these payment terms automatically go out? I believe that they do. I believe that they do. I would have to do some testing, but I will also see if I can find a better answer for you as well. I don't think I grabbed any other ones, so I'll hand it over to Brandy.
Sure, I'll go ahead and grab a couple in here. So the first one I see, is there a way to assign different rates to different work logs? And when you're referring to work logs, I think I need a little bit more clarification there, but I do want to just populate something, and I've gotten quite a few questions about this week. So in your products and services, when you're setting up your different labor rates here, you can absolutely have different labor rates. And if you have different labor rates per customer or type, you can absolutely set those as well in contracts. Like for customers, I could have one customer labor rate's going to be $50 an hour, one's going to be 150 without you having to create, 100 different labor rates. But when you're actually inside of a ticket, I want to just show you how you can toggle between the different types. So if you're in a ticket, whether I'm going to start this timer, I can choose my rate here, or in view log, you can also choose your rate. And then down again, when you're in your communications, if you're logging time here, you can choose your rate. So if there's any further clarification you want to give me there, let me know. Hopefully that answers your question. And then I think I grabbed a couple others in here. So Rob says we have contractors that need to enter their time, but because of the infrequency that they add entries, the cost to add a user on a monthly basis can't be justified. So we're looking into building our own app and using the API calls to allow this functionality. Are we violating any policies? Honestly, we just because of security purposes, like we do require MFA in our system, we strongly discourage against it. We don't have any way to keep you from doing it, but we just, our advice is we just strongly discourage you from doing that. Sunny is asking, is there a way to charge for a full hour for the first and then 30-minute increments after? There isn't. We do have, you can round up to the nearest 5, 10, 15, 30, 45, 60 minutes if you want to, but there isn't a way to say, okay, the first hour is going to be this amount and then after different increments, but really great feature request. So happy to pass that along. And I think that's all I grabbed.
We got just one from Chuck saying, we spend most of our time on site and not at a desk. When will you have an update on the mobile app? So I do get the mobile app development is going slow. There's a lot of other priorities ahead of that, although that is a priority of mine specifically. So I would expect to see some updates there, but it will be incremental. It will be a little bit slow. If it is a little bit too slow for you, you can actually access the full Syncro web app on mobile, and it's designed very well for that. So that would be a good stopgap for you in the meantime.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. Samuel wants to know, is it possible to have the assets in an easier to get to fashion, such as a drop-down menu? So we do hear this request often. So I'm just going to head to assets in RMM because I think according to what your post is in the Q&A, you've already probably seen this and done this, but right now the solution is to create those saved asset searches to be able to quickly get to the list of machines that you're looking for. Not to say that there won't be like an update to this screen in the future, but this is, using those saved asset searches is kind of where to leverage that for right now. Sunny, I'm not really sure. Are there any plans for compliance audits? Not that I know of, but again, you do have our product manager right here, so he's hearing this out loud. And then I just wanted to read this out loud. I loved Patrick said, I literally am saving thousands of dollars. Syncro was like the magic hang glider after I fell off a cliff during the lockdown. So Patrick, can I quote you on that? Because I love it. So thank you. And we're very happy to have you.
I'll go ahead and grab one from the top from Corey. So he just says, when syncing with QuickBooks, can we choose what to sync, or is it all or nothing? I'm just going to populate this. I will preface this by saying I am not a QuickBooks expert, so I would recommend reaching out to support. But there are going to be different settings. Once you have that connected, you have QuickBooks settings in here, and you can choose if you want to sync invoices, if you want to sync payments. So there are some different settings in here. If you haven't played around with them, then I would recommend doing so. But you'll see there are some other options for you in here, and I don't want to click into those I don't want to mess anyone up, but there's definitely some options here.
Got two other SplashTop related questions. Jeremy's saying in my Teams, my Microsoft Teams channel, webhook notifications for agent software installs, I just got a couple minutes ago a notice about SplashTop being reinstalled, and he's saying he doubts his customer did this on their own. This actually sounds like a residual from what happened yesterday. My guess, I don't know if you have the BYO installation or BYO integration set up. I'm assuming that you probably do. And if it got uninstalled, it's probably that picking up that it wasn't there and reinstalling it. That's my guess as to what happened. And most of that should have taken place last night. So it's possible that asset was offline and it's just occurring now. I did get a couple of reports of that this morning. So that's going to be my guess. And then Samuel's asking, why is there a limit to one concurrent tech on a Splash Top computer at a time? We sometimes share an issue between techs, so it would be helpful if we can connect more than one tech to the same machine at the same time. That's actually not our limitation at Splash Tops. And to be clear, there's two variants of Splash Top. There's the retail version, which if you pay for it, it does have that functionality, but their RMM integration variant does not. So this is the same thing that you would see in any other competitive RMM platform that integrates Splash Top. It is the same. It's one concurrent tech. However, in your instance, there was some users that said, hey, we would like to use Syncro Live's remote desktop as a backup. So somebody could be using Syncro Live and the other tech could be using Splash Top, and you'd still both be able to get onto the machine at the same time that way.
Cool. Thank you. Rob has a request for invoices. When adding items to an invoice, we go through a lot of scrolling as we keep adding items. Could you please change the input to more like a grid? So I will definitely add that and document that, Rob. Thanks, Vin. Vin loves Syncro and especially the training, so we appreciate that. I think that's really all I grabbed. Go ahead, Brandy.
Sure. Rob says the QuickBooks web integration works great. Choose both invoices and payments, so thank you for that. Chuck says, one of the issues I'm having with accessing via mobile browser is I'm not able to add manual time entries on the app and in the mobile browser. From my understanding, I truly have never logged in on the mobile browser or on a mobile Chrome browser just with the app. I believe it should be fully functioning. So you should be able to do everything if you use a mobile Chrome browser. As far as the mobile app, I'm just taking a look at mine right now. And one way too, if you want to create like manual time entries, at the very bottom, I'm just scrolling through, you can choose like a public or a private note too. And you will be able, when you click on one or the other, you'll be able to log time that way as well. You're right, I'm not seeing the option that view log, but it could be in here, so I'll keep digging. But you do have the timer, and again, mobile Chrome browser is what I would suggest there.
Rob's asking, and actually I think Jonathan has the same question for Splash Top Bring Your Own. Will new assets use the Syncro license or yours? So here's how it's going to work. Let's say that today you've got your own Splash Top instance, you've got your deployments going. When we go to check your policy, it's going to say, hey, I want Splash Top on this asset. So we're going to look. If Splash Top's not installed, we'll obviously install it. If it is installed, we're going to pick up the installation and say, okay, this is going to stay where it is. So your existing Splash Top instance or your customer can continue to use that. On our end, we're also going to pick it up. Our end has a little bit more security than what the retail version does. So we have like rolling passwords and things. So there's some other considerations that we have to take into account. And you'll be able to connect to it that way. So it's technically not really even using a license at that point. For instance, if you were to remove it from your Splash Top account, it would just continue using this. It's the same installer basically, that just works a little bit differently. So that's how that's gonna operate. Eric is asking if it's possible to limit an API token to a set of devices. For example, if I want Warranty Master to only have access to servers. So the answer there is no. You can go in and set individual tokens to say like you can only access assets or customers, or there's a whole litany of things that you can give them access to or deny them access to, but you can't only provide provide access to certain subsets of records. It's if you allow customers or assets, it's all of each of those. Have a question about, will Syncro support mobile devices like smartphones and tablets at some point in the future? If you're just talking about like a mobile app to access your Syncro stuff, that's available today. There's a Syncro mobile app for iOS and Android. And then there's also a mobile web app as well, just logging into your Syncro account through Safari or Chrome or whatever you've got on your browser. Sunny's asking, have you ever thought about adding an IMAP Connect to list all emails from individual contacts? I think you're asking like CRM style functionality where you can go into a contact record, it pulls emails from your IMAP account, syncs it to a contact record, kind of like a true CRM. It's kind of funny you ask, because like I'm a big, huge CRM guy. I'd like to see more of that stuff in Syncro. So it's something that I'll say is on my radar. Whether or not it ever happens, I can't say for certain, but it would be something that I would certainly fight for. I think that's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to grab this one from Corey, and please help me if I'm not answering your question. Can you show how to add a script for QuickBooks or custom software such as PC Miler? So I am assuming you're meaning adding a script to install it. That's what I'm assuming. So that's what I'm going to show. If I'm not answering the right thing, please let me know. One thing that I will show, there's kind of multiple ways to do this. If this is something you wanted to like install on a policy level, there's a couple things. You could run like a setup script. So this script would run on all policies when you install the Syncro agent. In addition to that, if you scroll up, one thing that's every once in a while gets missed is that in this third-party application patch management, you actually can add additional third-party applications. So I'm just going to create a new one here really quickly and just show you what I mean. So we have all of these, like these top ones, these are just kind of built in, but you can add additional apps. And so this accesses the entire Chocolatey repository. So if it is something that we can install and update, you can add that application here on a policy level. You can also do this on an individual level. So you could go to a script like here and add it, add a script to the queue on an individual asset. You can go to the assets and RMM screen. You could do a saved asset search to get all of the computers that you do want to run that script against. And then you can either select them all. When you go to manage, you can run a script against however many assets you want. So hopefully I answered your question. If I didn't, just add a little bit more context for me. And then I grabbed another one. Jonathan wants to know, can you force customers to store their credit cards? We're using Stripe. I don't believe there's any way that you can force someone to store their cards in the customer portal. I would maybe encourage like broadcast messages, store your credit card, or even putting that as a disclaimer on your invoice or something like that, like must store card or, whatever that might be. But I don't think there's really a technical way for us to enforce that. Sunny was saying that on your screen, it looks like you had tabs for different types of products, such as labor. I do not have that. So a few things, just to reference, I'm going to head over to the admin section because again, I'm going to touch on a couple things. So one thing is, and I don't think this is exactly what you're talking about, but I wanted to just mention it. These tabs up here are totally customizable. So you can hop over and do tabs customization. So you can choose, like, if you're not seeing the same things that we are, you can choose what you're wanting to look at and you can arrange those so that you either have them up here or in the more drop down option. And then in addition to that, when you're talking about the categories for actual products such as labor, that would be in your inventory settings. And so if you head, I think I probably just scrolled, inventory preferences. If you're speaking of the categories related to products, this is where you can add categories. So you can see labor, prepaid hours, and that sort of thing. You can add categories there. Hopefully that helps answer your question, Sunny. All right, I'm done.
I think that means it's my turn. Florian's asking, client with multiple locations, can you create a report to show detailed closed tickets per location? Not only the ticket number, but problem description, resolution, time spent, ticket, and email that to the client or show in a different client or in the client portal. So in terms of multiple locations, if you have those under the same customer, you're not able to break those out into reporting right now. As well as like billing, that's all going to be shown on the same invoice. If you do want to report separately, I would recommend setting up the locations as different customers. Might be something that we change in the future. I know we get this request pretty often. So right now, if you want to report separately and you want to have it separate on a portal, then of course I would do it that way. And remember, you can have the same contact, not the same main business email, but you could have the same contact listed for as many different customers or locations if that's how you have those set up. And I have a couple others that I'll grab in here. So Edward's asking, I'd like to automatically send statements to clients who are late paying. Is there a way to do this in Syncro? So what I would recommend doing is you can set up, and this is just in the admin section under invoices, you can have, and I'll show you how I got there. Let's just populate this under my invoices. I went to open invoice reminders, and you can set this to be a certain number of days or on like the 15th of the month if you want to do it that way. So you can absolutely do that. Let's see here. I think I had one more. Vin is asking, in the vulnerability report, is it possible to add a column which shows which operating system it is? Great feature request, and we will absolutely pass it along. Right now, it's not customizable, but we can definitely pass it along. You could also use the executive summary report builder to pull in multiple different types of things. So operating systems, patching, everything like that.
Randy's saying we have a nice phone system that can use action URLs when calls are received or placed. We currently log incoming calls in Syncro. How can we log outgoing calls? I don't think there's a way to do that right now, Randy, but that would be a good feature request, because I suspect if we just add an endpoint for you for the API, you'd be able to log those. So I know usually you're really good about sending in requests. So if you haven't sent that already, go ahead and do that, because I like that one. Corey's asking, what's my choice of CRM? So here's the thing with CRM for folks that are just starting to get into sales. There's actually no such thing as a sucky CRM. There's just a thing of like a sucky CRM for you. So if you have like legit salespeople that you've hired, you can go full blown Salesforce and do everything that you could ever imagine and more. But you really need to have somebody who knows how to do that. If you're a one-man show and you're trying to get a lot out of it, you can look at something like Agile. If you really like customizing your flows and making it work to fit your business versus having like cookie cutter stuff that you kind of have to operate the way they want you to operate, Zoho CRM is far and away the #1 platform I've used for that. And that has a lot of API calls and webhooks and all sorts of crap. So that's pretty easy to integrate with Syncro if you want to do that on your own. So it really depends on your style of selling and your company structure. Jonathan's saying, will there ever be any improvements to tickets, such as a rich text editor? He says, we use Zendesk, so integration with Zendesk would be cool. Oh, he's saying you guys use Zendesk. I'm sorry, meaning Syncro. So yeah, rich text editor is something we hear a lot. It's something I want. It's something that'll happen. I just don't have a date for you on that, but it's definitely on the radar. We hear that a lot. In terms of us using Zendesk, this is kind of a misconception. We do use Zendesk for our support, but that's not because we don't like what we have. What we have isn't designed for mass supporting customers like you all. It's designed for supporting MSPs, but not designed for supporting end users. So we use Zendesk specifically because it's better for triaging mass influx of general comments and questions and tickets and feature requests, where Syncro's ticketing is specifically designed to billing and invoicing and tracking time for your technicians and things like that. Chuck is asking, have you seen any issues with QuickBooks Online and Syncro not syncing payments? So I know there's some issues going on right now with Xero that we're working through. It's possible there may be something with QuickBooks. I would send as much information, like specific information as you can to support, and they'll be able to dig into that for you. Whoops, I think I just canceled the wrong question. Well. Derek's saying, we're planning to start using sprints. Is there something out there that you or anyone else is aware of that can put tickets into a Kanban type view based on status? Not really. However, ticket boards is something that's like really high on my list of things. And if you don't know what that is, it's like making different units that are specific to certain tasks. So you could have like a board for VIP customers, or if you've got like tier 1 support, tier 2 support, tier 3 support, you can have tickets flow from board to board and only certain techs can get on that. That's something that we're going to be adding later on for sure. It won't be a Kanban view, but I'm not sure that you'll need it if we have the ticket board stuff. So if you still think you'll need it, send it in as a support request, but I think you'll be pretty happy with what we're with what we're working on there. And I guess I just leaked something, but oh well, that's life. Randy's saying time isn't reduced until invoiced. Can we get an option to reduce time when charged? Clients would like to see how much time they have left available when deciding what tasks to do this month versus next month. Would also help us in not going over allotted hours. So 2 comments on that. Today, there's not a way, and the reason being is because work that's charged but not billed, meaning you haven't invoiced it out, technically isn't consuming hours, meaning the ticket you have running could run for 2 months if it's a massive project, and it could blow all the hours of this month when it doesn't really apply to this month. So it really depends on how you have that configured, but it's not functionality today. The other thing is that, Randy, I don't know how your business is set up, but one thing you might want to consider is traditional MSP block hour contracts have overages for when block hours are consumed. So it should never be that you should never have a scenario where you actually can't do additional work for a customer until next month. It should just be done at a discounted hourly rate. So say that you do 10 hours in your block hour contract for $500. It shouldn't stop there. There should always be another caveat where it's like $50 an hour if you go over that. So the customer doesn't mind adding extra things, but they know that they're going to get it at a discounted rate. And you can do that through Syncro today. But if you don't do that and you just kind of apply hours and that's all they have for the month and it doesn't go above that, yeah, there's not a way to do that currently. Chris is asking, hi, Andy, is that a brilliant panel on your wall behind you? It is actually. I was like huge in the home automation space years ago, and I'm a huge like dork with all sorts of toys. And I saw that and I put it like every light switch in the house and did it myself. And my wife yelled at me a lot because it was expensive, but it was super fun and I like that kind of stuff. So yeah, good eye. On to you all.
Thank you. Johnny wants to know, how do I do an enhanced request? So if this is asking how to do a feature request, you can definitely send a request into help@syncromsp.com. What we like to hear is, if you're going to send in a request, what kind of puts that to the top of the list is if you kind of can explain what this will do for you, how will it save you time, how will it make you more money, those sort of things. Obviously, there's also our Facebook group and our Reddit group as well. And Andy, every once in a while, will post like, hey, who wants a community driven track feature? And so that's a great place to post that as well. Aaron says, I have a recurring ticket for a consultant job. Can I have a recurring invoice with that? Will they automatically link, or is that a manual process? So let me just share my screen. So I think, and if anyone has a better idea, the way that I was thinking about this is, if you have a reoccurring ticket on a monthly basis, on a reoccurring invoice, you can choose, of course, when you want that to be running on a monthly basis. And then what I was thinking is that you could add any pending ticket charges, and you could sort by the status. So like, if that reoccurring ticket, if you had a specific status for it, maybe even a custom status, then this reoccurring invoice would only pull the charges from that reoccurring ticket. If anyone else has a better idea, that was just kind of my first go-to thought for that. I think the other one I grabbed from Jonathan, any chance to get a different secret vault? Using custom fields for customers is great to inject into scripts, but the display on the customer field is annoying. So I don't know if we have necessarily any plans there. We do have credentials outside of custom fields, and you can share those credentials via the customer portal. I don't believe you can access credentials on a script, but it is a different type of display. I was thinking I grabbed one more. There was one regarding, now I can't find it. I'm still going to grab it because maybe I got rid of it. Someone was asking about the sales reports. I just went to reports and I pulled a few. These are you can't necessarily customize the columns at this point, but this does show like an actual sales report and broken down, and you can select which product and things like that you want to be looking at. So that's one sales report. That's the product sales report. And then you also have a sales detail report that'll break down the sales and costs. It'll show if the invoice has been created and if it's been paid as well. So those were the two that I was thinking of. If I missed anything, please let me know.
I think you may have read this question about the report that allows you to see equipment sold but not billed for the previous month. So that's so funny because those are awesome reports. And then I thought of one more. And so I'm not sure if this was helpful, but if the, oop, sorry, if the equipment, Samuel, that your techs are adding is on a ticket, that then you can use the pending ticket charges report because it will show you everything that techs added onto tickets. And I think you wanted to look for the previous month, so it'll be last month to date, and then that way you can have a easy plug through everything that was added onto tickets, but not necessarily invoiced. So hopefully that helps. And then Ben has a question, is it possible to add custom field and customer contact us forms in the policies? So what he's asking about is in the agent contact forms, if you can add in custom fields. The custom fields that you can add here are going to be those that are for ticket custom fields. And so you can add those here. They won't be customer facing, but they will be internal. That way, if a user adds a ticket through the system tray, that it can automatically populate that custom field inside that ticket. And then I have one more. And this is from Jeff. We can customize our asset list columns. Is there a way to save those different custom views? That is an awesome feature request, Jeff. Currently, you cannot save different views for this customization. So when you customize those asset columns, there's not a way to save those views. However, if you haven't seen the saved asset searches, that you can do granular searches across your devices and save those.
Awesome. Thank you, Hannah. I'll go ahead and grab a couple in here. So Anonymous is wondering, do we hire people not located in the US? We do. Couple notes with that is we are still fully internal, so we don't outsource anything. But yes, we do. Absolutely. And then in terms of MFA options, right now we use Google Authenticator or Authy. I see some other requests as well. So if you guys do have requests, I don't think we have any plans right now to use others, but feel free to pass those along. And then Aaron just has a comment that Jared can integrate well with Syncro and Zapier. Just FYI, just got that working well. So thank you. Sunny is asking, I'm not sure how to create automations. Can you walk me through setting up a simple automation? And I'm not sure if there was a previous question that you're referring to or just like an RMM automation. I'll be super brief, but also want to show you this because it's my favorite thing in the whole system. On the assets and RMM page, you're going to notice your automated remediations. You can make this very, very, very easy. Simple, you can also make it very granular. So a simple one would be, okay, my trigger category is agent offline or low hard drive space, you name it. I could convert this into a ticket. I can then run a script if I want to. I could email the customer, clear the alert. So these are very easy, just if this and this, then this. And so we provide a lot here. Community script library, this is going to pull from the ones you've imported, so really easy to use. But again, those are on the assets and RMM tab under actions and automated remediations. I also saw a question in there about tickets. If people are replying to tickets and it's reopening the old ticket. So in the admin section, if you actually go into your preferences and you're going to go all the way to the bottom, you're going to see your additional settings. And again, we're going to go all the way to the bottom again. Create new ticket if customer replies to an old ticket that was resolved more than X number of days ago. So you can definitely, I think a lot of people don't know that this setting is there. I would recommend toying with that a little bit. I don't think I have any more.
Cool. I'm just going to grab a couple here at the top. One, can we link our VoIP phone to the ticketing system? So we have, you'll see in our app center, we do integrate with free PBX, which integrates with several phone systems. And then in addition to that, we do have an open API. So if it's not part of the free PBX options, you definitely can still do some stuff with that API. And then I'm going to read this one, Dennis. In QuickBooks, I have a business client, for example, and then one of their employees listed underneath that company as I have had to bill them individually. So yeah, now whenever I create a bill for the business, I then have to go back to QuickBooks, switch the invoice over to the business account in order to then run their payment through the BluePay, for example. The problem afterwards, though, is that it does not sync back to Syncro. So I have multiple open invoices with the business, even though they have paid it and it's registered in QuickBooks. So with QuickBooks, I'm assuming QuickBooks Online, but so with QuickBooks Online, the only thing that does sync back to Syncro is an invoice that's marked paid. In this scenario, though, creating an invoice on the QuickBooks side is not going to sync that back to Syncro. And in this scenario, I don't know if it's possible for that sub-content contact to be actually created as a different customer in Syncro. That would be the only way to like make that sync happen properly on the Syncro side and not kind of continue to mess things up on the QuickBooks side. So hopefully that at least gives a little bit of clarification on that one. All right, take it away, Andy.
All right, let's see. Jonathan's saying, is there SSO for text with Azure AD on the roadmap? I'll say not really. This comes up from time to time again. It would definitely be a nice to have. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. So I suspect if we get enough requests for that, it's possible. I can see us doing that at some point. Steve is saying we have prepaid block, is using block hour contracts with clients. How can I create a custom monthly report showing beginning balance, hours used with tickets, and ending balance? I think you can probably get each one of those elements on their own, but probably not together. And as you write that, that's making me think it would be an awesome block for our executive summary report builder. So please send that in and put in the support request that Andy says this is awesome. And somebody will tell me that you said that, and then I'll pick it up, because I could see having a block that says exactly that. Like, this is what you started with in the period. This is how many tickets we worked, or even a ticket list, and then an ending balance. So Steve, I think that's a super awesome suggestion. Vin says, I think he's talking about the home automation stuff. He says, you're not alone, Andy. I do home upgrades when my wife is out. I'm hoping my wife has her door closed upstairs, because I'm going to say that's awesome. We'll see. Dave is saying, also like to report that currently when logged out and another window browser is open, one can still function as if Syncro Live is running. Will there be future options that auto close or prompt to auto close all other windows or browser tabs? I don't think so. And the reason I say that is because at least with the remote desktop component of Syncro Live, it's going to stick around as a backup, so to speak. We're not really going to be doing feature releases and things like that. I mean, if there's a security issue, we'll obviously patch that, but Splash Shop is going to be the primary method for remote access, so I don't see us doing that one specifically. Bernard's asking if we have any plans for a project management module. This is another one that's been on my list for a while, and there's just too many other priorities ahead of it. So yes, it's possible it happens. Is there a plan for it today? No. And then Bernard is also asking, is there any plan for a report generator where we could pull up? Sorry, I'm trying to read how you word that. I think you're asking if there's a way that you can pull specific information from Syncro databases. There isn't really. Yeah, if you want like a super detailed report that you build yourself, there's not really a way to do that. However, if you've taken a look at our recent executive summary report builder, and then we're going to be rolling out probably within a week, it might even be sooner than that, our internal report builder, it lets you customize up to like, I think it's like 45 blocks or something like that of all sorts of different stuff. And because we've already built that architecture out, if you have like one or two things, you're like, hey, if I had this, it would really, really help me. Just let us know, because we can add stuff to that as needed. So we're hoping that we can get to the point where you don't need to go off and build your own stuff. I'd rather have you all selling versus spending time on that kind of stuff. And then Corey's asking, any chance we can get the chat function to work within the same window as the asset open? Corey, I'm going to mark this as answered, but can you just re-ask that? Because I'm not 100% sure exactly what you're asking there. And then Vin is asking, since we're on a feature request, I want to request, please add IP-based login restriction for admin. This will give us peace of mind that no one will be able to log in on the admin account from outside of specified IP. Crystal, I might be wrong on this, but we have that now, right? Or do we not? Can you can limit by IP, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
I believe it might be
Employee
only
settings.
for technician users, not
not the
admins.
It's not at an admin level. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, then Vin, that's a good suggestion. Send that into support and I'll back that one. That makes sense.
I think I have a couple in here I can go ahead and grab just to clean this up a little bit. So Chuck is asking if there's any plans to change the overall look and feel of the platform. I like all the Syncro features, but would love to see more of a side view versus top view. So yeah, I mean, we don't have an ETA, but it's definitely on the radar, and it's something that we've heard and we've listened, and I think that we will probably make some changes in the future. And then Sunny just has a comment. I use free PBX and Suite CRM, and I love how open tickets auto open up on the screen that are related to my calls.
Sweet. Let me grab this one from Randy here. Grab that. We would like an order process from part estimate request to approval to order to part received to scheduled. I see Syncro has some of these statuses and options. Can someone walk me through how Syncro uses these and if we can completely automate this process? So yes, we do have all of this stuff. I don't necessarily know if there's a way to completely automate it. But for example, I'm gonna hop over to an estimate. Because what is pretty cool is that you can link your line items to your products and services. There's multiple settings where if you have like a specific stock take, if you put something onto an estimate, you can choose whether you want that to, deduct from your stock take from the estimate or wait till you convert this estimate to a ticket or an invoice to have that deduct from the status. But once you have processed this estimate, it will become available on the customer portal. You can also have, it'll email that to them as well. They can approve or decline it from the portal. You can set up a notification so you know right away when this estimate is approved. Once you either convert this to an invoice or a ticket, so if you do go the ticket route, then let me just do this. I'm just gonna add stuff. Once you create a ticket here, you will then have the option. So those line items will carry over to the ticket. So if you see these add or view charges here, so you see right away, this one's pending. So this is saying that I don't have enough of that thing. So there's going to be a pending order, and you can add that to a purchase order from your products and services purchase order spot. You can just add that to a purchase order, receive it. It'll receive into inventory, show that on these line items. Now that's assuming that you're using all of the products and services. So the difference between going this direction that I'm talking about right now and the verbiage of parts are totally different. So purchase orders can be used if you're utilizing products and services and you have them and you convert from an estimate to a ticket or straight to an invoice. A part order is going to be a manual thing. So you're ordering a part, meaning it's something that's not in your inventory that you don't plan on keeping in inventory. It's more of like that one-off, totally, you never probably going to order that thing again. You can create a part order. Again, there's notifications too. If you create the part order, once it's received, you can be notified or have someone be notified, depending on how you want that set up. And then of course you can be, your statuses can be changing, whether it's waiting for parts or whatever that might be. And these statuses of course can then also update, like if you had a ticket automation that if it was waiting for parts, you wanted to let the customer know, hey, the stat, we're waiting for your parts, they have been ordered, or whatever you wanted to do there. So you could do some automation based upon those statuses as well. So again, this is a pretty intricate process, and it's kind of dependent on your workflow. So hopefully that high level overview helped at least a little bit. Okay, I'm done.
Corey's saying, okay, so he's clarifying his chat question. He's saying currently we have two separate tabs open in order to use chat with the client while using Syncro Live. That's, I don't want to say it's by design, but Syncro Live doesn't really have a way to communicate data back with the web. So that the chat is an entire infrastructure that's designed to do chat well beyond just being live access. Like if you want to use it as a medium for ticket ingestion, you can do that. If you want to send a note to your client, be like, hey, I need to remotely access your computer. Is that cool if I hop on? And then all of that data gets archived and stuff like that. Normally and this would be the same with Splashtop that we're rolling out. Normally the integrated chat functionality is kind of sucky where it's just like, hey, I'm Bob, cool, thanks. It's like Notepad almost, just typing back and forth, and then it closes, it's wasted, it's gone. You never have a record of that. So we didn't want to make it work that way. So the answer is no. Just kind of like a hacky tip, which obviously costs money, so it's not for everybody. But if you can get a 32:9 monitor, like a curved one, that will change your life. That is super good for stuff like this. And then Asaf is saying he joined late, so he missed the comments about Splashtop, but he was impacted by it. He never linked his Splashtop account. It was just two separate apps on my asset. I even opted out. Yeah. So just to reiterate, and I think this is also in the post on Facebook, so I won't get too deep into this. This affected any Splashtop installation, and it was for a small percentage of our customers. This was a botched rollout that went out yesterday. We're doing a quick well, I should say quick. We're going to do a retro on it, and then we're going to post about exactly what we found. But long story short, it didn't matter if you were opted out or not. We weren't actually deploying Splashtop. It was just something that happened when we pushed an agent out that was prepping for next week's planned rollout of Splashtop. Eric is asking if it's possible to edit the live chat request screen the user uses. I want to prompt for additional data. If you mean like you want the customer to initiate a chat, but they have to put in some specific information before they do that, no. If you want to ask a follow-up question and let me know why specifically, I think that'd be good, because normally you're already going to have the data from the customer. Like you're going to know what asset it's coming from and what contact is assigned to it. So if I'm misunderstanding that, let me know. So, oh, he's saying so they can enter their name or user. No, there's not. But again, if you have a contact assigned to that, it's going to come in as that particular contact. If you've got like a machine that they're sharing, then no, they'll have to say like, hey, this is Sally or whatever, and then you can determine what to do with it from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And we have now 2 minutes left. That hour seemed to go by really fast. Do you want to grab this last one, Andy, and then we'll close it up?
Yeah, sure. Walter's asking if a client already owns their own Splashtop license and this is rolled out, will this cause an issue with their license? Yeah, no, it won't. I would watch we put a Splashtop deep dive video that explains all of this. It's on Reddit, it's on Facebook, it's on our YouTube channel. So I would check that out because it should have all the answers. If it doesn't, just hit me up on one of those mediums and I'll answer you directly.
Awesome. And then also just really quick, Randy, when a user opens a ticket from a device, we have it capture their name and number and email. But if the user doesn't exist, it just opens a ticket under the customer contact. Can we have it as the user? If they're doing it from the system tray icon, I don't believe that there is a way to do that. But if they send an email in, your email rules, you can have it create a contact. So I don't think possible from the system tray, but yes, from an email using email rules. All right. Okay. All right. Well, hey, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Andy, for joining us and addressing some things going on. We appreciate that. We are a transparent and honest company. We we value our customers, and so we really appreciate you all showing up today and hanging out with us. Great questions. I think we answered like 105 questions today in an hour, which is crazy. But we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great Friday. Have a wonderful weekend.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.